Now, 30 seconds on the clock. Does expected value need to do anything, or do they just hide for 25 seconds? It
No,
is
they live it. So, if it was a different team who didn't really have the movement to handle it, fine. Risa. Okay, so Risa's the called target.
Okay, now they have to kill. Now they have to kill.
This is just going to come down to whether or not they're going to catch Risa.
Well, Risa gets stuck. Risa gets stuck on the terrain. 5 seconds.
Let's go. So Farquaad can't do it. Oh, they got him, and that's it. The last round is going to go to one of the dads. Game. That was absolutely fantastic.
Way.
That's exact ample. They called it at the last second. Everybody go in on Risa. Risa doesn't have enough AP. It doesn't matter how fucking hard she's able to run away. One of the dads is able to capitalize it. That was absolutely fantastic from both teams.
Before we get started with this wonderful threes tournament, I would like to shout out Hutassa for co-casting with me. I was not feeling great, and they did a majority of the casting. Could not have ran this without them. As always, another huge thanks to my supporters on Patreon, YouTube, and Twitch. And if you'd like to see these live, check the description for my Twitch channel, and join the Discord for Armored Core 6 events. Y'all have a wonderful day, and enjoy the tournament.
Unsurprisingly, we're seeing an LCD boat coming from the JP team, as well as a heavy Zim shot, and a variant on what I've heard called the Ramen Kite, which is one of these LRB kites. And then for Bink, we're going to see what Ramen uses as a kite now from Balls, Etsu shot from T-Light, and what's called the Takao Melee build from Piss. Looks like we're hopping right in.
There's an actual melee build in threes?
There is an actual melee build in threes. It used to be that a couple of people played Zex RJ, which was a reverse joint melee build, but now it seems to have fallen out of favor for this biped that kind of rocks as much rushdown as you can get away with, and then keeps that 10 cell to be able to keep the pressure on.
Oh, I see. So the
like
Zim, it's basically Zim, kick, Zim into Pulse Blade as punish?
Yeah, we've seen it used that way. We've seen Pulse Blade kind of used in itself as a punish before. We rely pretty heavily on the first hit from that blade. Unless we're kind of getting guaranteed punish, you're going to see this here for Big Piss. We'll probably, he's going to end up taking the first term in the neutral here. But if he can pull this combo off around the shield, wasn't able to. Looks like the advantage there at the start goes to the Juku then.
Now, you said earlier that of course, we have an LCD boat. I can tell, this is as a person who's still learning the threes metagame, I see LCD boats just everywhere. Why is this build so important?
So, yeah, and I mean, I love getting to answer that question because LCD boat is now the only build I play pretty much at this point. So, LCD boat has when you think about what it means to play a supporting role here, most of the time your job is to build up stagger on your opponents, right? You want to set up big stagger punishes, you want to keep those ACS strains high, and for a long time, the best way people thought about that is like a missile kite. You hang back, you try to stay out of the fight, you have good vantage, and you just pick away at people's stagger while somebody in a more traditional dive role, like a melee build or a Zimmerman-based build, will go in for those punishes and to pick up these confirms when people's out of terminal. Now, boat is like rat, except you don't die the instant that someone looks at you, and the LCD boat kind of serves as an alternative to a more traditional 4-missile boat like we used to see in earlier threes meta, but those LCDs just have the capacity to deliver an enormous punish and allow the boat build to be a lot more self-sufficient in a lot of ways. I also find personally that the uncharged LCDs are kind of a hidden gem as well. They're fantastic for picking up confirms, as I'm sure we're going to see a lot of from both the JP teams that are relying on it as well as some of the North American teams rocking boats tonight.
That makes a lot of sense, because like back in the day, it used to be every team had a missile boat, which was just
absolutely.
I believe it was like Duo 3 core missile, or like double Duo 3 and then double HML, or like HML SPL.
Yeah, double Duo 3 and double HML.
And now it's just taking that concept and being, hey, what if they could kill you? And it's like
yeah, absolutely. What if they could survive in a brawl? But what's been really interesting lately as LCD boat players is to see shields come into the meta. I know that's zero surprise to anyone who plays ones and have seen how powerful Pulse Shield is, but a lot of enterprising players have been bringing shield builds into threes and finding their niche. We'll see a lot of Larb Shield later on. I bet we'll probably see Cicada playing that, and Lulu might be playing it as well, showing that there is a place for shields because they can shut down the offensive capabilities of some of these more supportive or more hybrid-like builds like LCD Boat. Nothing worse than lining up a perfect charge shot and having the shield eat it, and it doesn't even build any stagger, let alone actually doing much damage. But looks like here so far we're seeing a pretty strong advantage towards our Juku men's squad here. We're at 1120 to 825. You know, still within one engage difference, but so far they've done a good job playing the long game, particularly against Bink. Seeing here, particularly Plasman putting in a lot of work here. Now we're taking a look at Nguyen's perspective, seeing kind of how the shield is able to interact, blocking some of the bigger threats, although it can't do anything about a Pulse Blade if it misses the parry.
I think that's interesting about Pulse Shield in Threes is that Threes is a very burst damage metagame. You see a lot of things like double earshot, double LCDs we talked about earlier, double Zim. They're basically, if it can do a billion stagger per second, it's good in Threes. So Pulse Shield, notoriously good for blocking out burst damage. It's kind of interesting how it's taken this long for shields to be picked up in the meta.
Yeah, I was surprised. I mean, for me, I always thought it was the chaos of everything going on that I was like, oh my god, for me as a relatively new ones player. Alright, are we playing build block here, Striker, for this tournament?
One player gets to change their build after every...
One player gets to change builds.
On the losing team. So for instance, Bink lost, so Balling Inc. can change an AC.
Okay,
only
good
one,
to know,
though.
but it looks like... Yeah, and it looks like it wasn't a terribly big difference at the end that last round, so it looks like we have no swaps whatsoever, and we're getting right into the action. We're going to see here whether or not we're going to have a more drawn-out neutral. I tend to think that this is one of the better maps in some places. If you play your positioning very carefully, you can actually play neutral, but Bink has always been known for being kind of aggressive, and it looks like it's going to be Big Piss coming in. Might be playing a feint, but it looks like the Juku men have instead turned the tides around and caught T-Light out. Still has massive AP in that heavy earshot, heavy Etsu shot frame, though. And the first terms are going to come up on Bink's side. Alright, let's see how the rest of this pans out. We have a post-term... nope, my bad. Kemuri is down. Alright, so it looks like the first engage goes 2-1 for the Juku men.
This is looking pretty
Piss is
devastating
running away.
For Bink. Like, what can Bink do in this moment to kind of get momentum back?
I think primarily if we're trying to pick momentum back, the most important thing to do here is actually not even something you really do in terms of combat. It has to do with avoiding getting cycled, would be my attitude, is that a lot of times what you'll see these more advanced teams do is essentially stagger their kill times to try to prevent all three players on an opposing team from being on at once. We saw earlier where Piss was kept alive a little longer than he needed to be in order to kind of put Bink at a disadvantageous position coming into the next engage. So careful ratting, basically avoiding dying, sometimes even strategically dying. You will see people run into oncoming gunfire to avoid being set up in the situation where they're going to be taking under-sided engagements. And so one way to recover momentum is to kind of break a kill cycle, but then of course you also have Juku men who want to keep this cycle going for as long as possible. But so far I would say this isn't an enormous difference yet, especially if Balls and T-Light can avoid taking too much damage here until Piss is back up and able to re-engage on Kemuri. Bink's always been known as being a pretty aggressive team as well, so they usually kind of charge in, but their builds synergize very well for these kind of close combat tactics, particularly all of the value that they're able to generate off of Piss's ability to kind of come in and drop butt blades on this. So it looks like we're still slightly in favor of our JP team right here. It looks like Balls might get taken out. And if the Juku men are smart here, they're going to wait to put Balls down until after Annoying is up, which they do. So now we have a 3 versus 2 situation here in favor of the JP team.
Yeah, you're just trying to lock your opponents in a 3v2 or 3v1 scenario at all times.
Exactly.
It's way, way harder to come back from that. It's like the
Absolutely.
opposite of trickling in like a hero shooter, like Overwatch or something.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where, like, you respawn, you immediately run in, and you die, so then you respawn, you run in, you never actually go with your team. You're trying to force a trickle in, basically, which is kind of interesting.
Exactly. Yeah, and I mean, that's the thing is, a team... Whoop, a little bit of lag you see in there from Ball Step, but the thing about team tactics is, you know, while it can kind of look like a wild 6-way brawl, there is a lot of coordination that goes on, but if you're way out of position from your team or outright dead, it makes it a lot harder to engage those combos that kind of guide a lot of the build philosophy we're going to see from all these different teams. If your diver is dead, you might have a really difficult time picking up confirms, or if you use a build like a Wurger Shield or something else that benefits from locking down enemies, and you're not at the team fight, you're not generating any value. That's what translates to points, and that's what, you know, that's the difference between winning and losing on this.
And again, as we said at the very beginning of this, we're really seeing the value of terminal armor here, especially with Ball's Depth in this specific case. Ball's Depth was dead. Homie would have died if he had any other expansion, and then was able to actually get value out of his life.
Exactly.
That sounds so mean out of context, but was able to get
more
value.
No, it's the lingo we've all picked up. It's like, it's the value added, you know? I make jokes with our EU players sometimes about the value added only being a good thing here. But yeah, it's... Alright, looks like with 10 seconds left, we have about a 600-point favor of RJP team here, so it looks like for this first set on stream, the victory is going to go to the Juku men. Well played, both teams. Do we have to collect our predictions?
That was a perfect game. That was a perfect game 1, I think, for this tournament.
Especially when the score is close. The number of games I have lost against team... Yep, absolutely running his classic Earrat along with Cradle's Crabzerker and Sabathun Zimphason, which is another very popular Threes meta build. And then for JP, it looks like, oh, we're going to see Reb Shot. This is awesome. So we have an LCD boat and the Rebula Tetra with the ear shots. First build I ever played in Threes. Love this build.
So Reb Shot, I've never seen this before.
Yeah, because I tried to play it in ones and I sucked. I came into a scuff cop on this thing, and Sabbath kicked my shit in. But now I play Threes, and this thing is an absolute damage cannon. So it requires a lot of babysitting and pretty careful positioning, but the amount of damage you can put out with those coral rifles and catching people unawares with ear shots can make this thing absolutely destructive if it is not focused down. Alright, going right into it, it looks like we're going to see a push here from the JP team coming in on one of the dads. As far as what people like to call these locations, this area we're seeing on screen is called Jungle. Primarily 4 people jungling through it, the way you'd see in a MOBA. And the action is going to move around a lot here between team fights. Oh my god, some of these moments, they go so fast.
This is a very chaotic metagame. It is hard to pay attention to it sometimes. My ADHD flares up every single time.
It's totally true. It's very different from ones. But I think, I personally am talking like I'm not utterly addicted to it. But I think there's something incredibly addictive with the amount of communication that goes on. If that's not clear to anybody, all of these players are in private voice chats and communicating actively with each other, trying to communicate information. Just want to break to say, remember what we talked about earlier about people hiding and using cover strategically? We're seeing this from Spider Lily here. To avoid having to take this 3v1, my guess is right now everyone on one of the dads is looking to try to figure out where he is, but he has hid successfully, and both Kurosawa and Takao are back up. But he's drawn the engage. What would have happened
there is that Spider Lily would have just gotten confirmed, or gotten
deleted.
The other Kurosawa is the AC4-8.
Yes,
20?
H tank is I think is Kurosawa if I'm getting the chip.
So Kawasawa and Takeo would have been confirmed and just like been shot whenever. Confirmed basically means if you're at 1 HP and you get shot by like a Detsujin or a Zim, whatever, you get confirmed. That is like you are dead. Your 1 HP is gone. Yep. So that would have happened, and then Spider Lily would have been in the 3v1. So hiding back there in Xylem's like in that jungle area you said was a very, very smart move because then you avoid the 1v3.
Exactly. And it becomes kind of a hide-and-seek game. One of the dads is full of players. I played with all three of these people in both scrims and public play, and these guys are all very, very map-aware, and they're able to use the cover very effectively. You can see Farquaad not only taking out Takao there, but also kind of weaving his way through jungle, in which I bet is probably almost instinct for him at this point, where you will just see the use of cover and use of kind of drawing the fight to be where you want to be. Particularly important when the team has a build like a boat on it, because there are some areas of this map where being a boat is living hell. I feel like jungle is like that because there's so many buildings that can interrupt your earshots and your LCDs and your facades. And you know, if with smart cover play, you can really make up for differences in the amount of firepower that each team is doing. Although right now it looks like around the 1.5 minute mark, we have a lead in favor of North America here with one of the dads. Farquaad doing a great job of staying alive.
Here we see the alternate reality. Here we see the alternate reality of like a Spider Lily hadn't gone and hid.
Yes.
At the very beginning of this map, because they killed Sabbath, they killed Farquaad, and then they just chased down Cradle. And just pelting them with Rebulas or what have you over time. And then, you know, once Sabbath and Farquaad respawn, you killed them.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what it means to set up a good cycle. And a lot of the times, you'll hear things on comms like leave 2 alive, leave 3 alive, leave 1 alive. We're about to say set up cycle, we're being cycled. And a lot of Threes players here will know at that point whether it is more advantageous for them to be alive and trying to get to the fight, or more advantageous to be dead so that they can come back with full HP. Some people have even gone as far as to try to understand how the spawning logic works in this game. I'm not up to that level quite yet, but I'm sure we'll see some people tonight who do, who are just going to take advantage of directing where that fight is going to go. We see a pretty impressive clawback from Takao's team here, but with about 10 seconds left, we've now entered a stage where everyone is probably just going to try to play
was that a body bump kill?
Alive. That was a body bump kill. Those
Farquaad just body bump. Farquaad just
Oh yeah. And you know what? Getting body bumped at the most inopportune moment is just the worst. It looks like we have no changes again, so we're going to go with running it back here for the Juku men. We see, this is a great perspective. I love looking from Heatwave because he likes to stay topside, and you get a really great view of the entire field. This is exactly what Cradle wants here a lot of the time, is to kind of set up a position where he can overlook the battlefield and rain down a range of missiles, but he is chased to the ground quickly by some pretty aggressive actions from Kurosawa that did not pan out the way they hoped. Right now, this is looking like a straight trade, Kurosawa for Sabbath. Let's see. Yep. So we'll have to see what happens with the rest of this fight here. Now Cradle's in a slightly more optimal position here, getting a little bit of range, although that build can brawl, as I'm sure we've seen in the one Scuff Cups it's played in. It can really brawl and do some major damage with those heavy Tetra kicks and the whip. And he's going in on this Reb shot, and the turn is there. What's up, Rocket Bullwinkle? Welcome, welcome.
If Cradle trying to confirm this, I mean Cradle.
Yep.
Trying to confirm that that terminal, or pop that terminal is what y'all say. Y'all say pop that term.
Yeah, popping is that we usually use popping or terming for putting somebody onto armor, and then confirming is what happens when they're post terminal. That was another great example where Cradle's able to get these big kicks off and pull out significantly more AP damage on Spider Lily than he would have if he was rocking any other expansion. It looks like they're both down, so Farquaad is going to enact the age-old rule of not taking fights that he cannot win. And he's going to wait. Although, oh, that beautiful
That was a
movement coming in right behind that boat and dropping the earshots right on him.
The stealth gameplay. What was that? That was awesome.
It is the stealth gameplay. It's why scan has become so important. We talk about scan a lot. You see a lot of people running Hammerhead. Here, Farquaad runs it on Earrat. I consider it to be one of the best options for boat. I run it on basically every build. I just think that having a good scan in these situations is what allows stuff like that to happen. And especially on a boat, you should be scanning constantly. You should always be looking for what that next target is, and remembering that you are not stealthy. You are the largest hurt box this game can physically have. There is nothing, you know, it's not rat gaming, and not anything like what we're seeing here from Farquaad taking full advantage of, frankly, what's a pretty piss-poor amount of cover on a pretty wide-open map. But this little lake house. Cheeky dodge on the Reb shot, but he's coming in looking at both Takao and Spider Lily here. This is a great example of what it means to really control the momentum of a fight, where just in that simple act of assault boost shuffling out of there, or assault boost, like, you know, assault boost shifting, I don't really know what to call it, out of there, he was able to kind of pull the whole team together, and then his teammates came in, both Sabbath and Cradle, and are able to quickly capitalize on that. And that's what allows you to set up these situations where you can quickly turn a fight around in your favor, or greatly extend a lead by just setting up a nasty cycle.
And here comes the cycle, because Cradle is being left alive until the other two engage.
Yes, he is. And he is down, and Spider Lily
they are not
in.
engaging. I take it back. They are not.
No, they are not, yeah. Which is funny. This is still pretty close. I still think that the JP team could come back and claw this. But the question is, what are they going to do about the mobility, both of Sabbath on AC Disorder here, and Farquaad on 872 Dads. These are both builds that are legendary for their disengaging and ratting capabilities. We see a ton of this from a lot of really amazing players like Sabbath and Farquaad, like Risa, like Ramen. You know, it's a tried and true technique where they can take advantage of the superior mobility, even if they might not be as bulky as some of the builds that Juku men are bringing here. They can still capitalize on their mobility to avoid giving those last-minute points. So with about 20 seconds left here, this is looking pretty much wrapped up in favor of one of the dads, but a very close match again. It looks like if we pick up Takao here, with 10 seconds remaining, Farquaad is at the point where he is purging and running. He has done what he needs to do and does not need to do anything else. And at a final of 16-11 to 14-06, that'll be the end of the set. So we see absolutely no change from the last round for one of the dads. Oh, that's Cicada?
Yeah, that's Cicada.
Awesome. Welcome, Cicada. All right, and speaking of Cicada, we see something
Larb
very
Shield
similar
is
to
on my
Cicada's
screen.
build here. We've got Lulu running Larb Shield. We have Ramen running what we've started calling the Stagger Rat, which is that super lightweight build with Etsus and Duo 3s. And we have Risa repping the absolute classic Sulfuric Cautery, her Zimphasan build. We're going to see some absolutely ridiculous movement here. And we're also going to see just truly how tanky and a pain in the ass that a Larb Shield with an accomplished pilot like Lulu can do here.
Dude, being a once player and looking at the screen, all I did was just point at Larb Shield and be like, hey, I know that one. I know that one.
You know that one, right? I've seen that before.
I've seen that
you want to
one.
know what? It can kind of fuck shit up. I think of it as a more advanced build. Oh wait, we're going straight in. First engage, it looks like it's Farquaad who's getting caught out on one of the dads, and Lulu getting caught out on expected value. It's going to be a little harder given that Lulu kind of represents the bulwark of AP on team expected value here, given that I would guess there is not much more than 10k AP between Ramen and Risa's builds here, both very, very lightweight. Lots of terms going. Looks like we're kind of doing a pretty brawly first engage here. Massive damage on the Stagger Kite. Ramen will pick up his term. And we are 2 for 2 so far. Farquaad having that harder time for a second there, given the lack of confirm options. or fast confirm options on the ear rat. Then we move over. Reese's angle on this is very interesting from a Sun's perspective. I like to think of her build as one that just kind of does hit and runs. It's very, very positioning dependent and can deal enormous amounts of damage and then quickly run away, pretty much preventing issues with its cooldowns. Although here, she was kind of in a rough spot there due to being on 1 AP, but still being able to put massive damage out. On Farquaad, and the early advantage here seems to be going in favor of one of the dads. I'd say, yeah, I feel like Striker, maybe you talk about Larb Shield. I feel like this is a good one for the ones players out there.
So basically, Larb Shield is a build that runs the E20C generator and double LRB, and the whole point is that it has a ton of AP and has a ton of actual damage output. Doesn't really care about stagger too much at all. So I can imagine its role in threes is just, hey, if the opponent's staggered, I'm going to absolutely chunk their AP. I'm not going to do the staggering.
Absolutely.
I'm going to obliterate them.
Exactly. And that synergizes extremely well with a build like Blue Rose, which is what Ramen's running right now, which essentially can't do a ton of upfront damage, but the combination of DO3s and Etsugens just absolutely piles on the stagger, but is also very positioning dependent. This is not a beginner-friendly comp that Expected Value is running here, but these are all extremely disciplined players who are very, very good at positioning themselves. Mosquito. I'm sorry, TM Raven, who's another player who you've seen here, is very hawkish on calling this the Mosquito build. I'll leave that up to him and Ramen.
We called him the Mosquito last Scuff Cup 3v3, which sadly did not make it to YouTube. But I like it too, because it just buzzes around you and annoys the hell out of you.
It annoys the hell out of you, and frankly, I used to kind of ignore Ramen a lot of the time. When we would
that's so mean.
When he's on that build,
Ramen's such a nice guy. How would you ignore him?
Well, ignoring the stagger rat until I learned just truly how devastating it can be. You know, like I run a 16,000 AP LCD boat. You think I wouldn't be afraid of taking a little chip?
That's true.
But his positioning
You're like a
abilities
hippopotamus and he's a mosquito.
Stagger, exactly, and frankly. I feel like once movement tech reaches a certain level, you really can compensate. There are also people who are heavyweights with god tier movement.
One of the beautiful things about AC is that you can take a build that weighs over 100k and make it look like a lightweight. Like it is fucking amazing. How cool the movement is.
It's also remarkable what you can do when you're sub 75k. Mosquito might even be sub 65.
You can take a 100k build, make it look like a 75k build. You can take a 75k build, make it look like a 50k build. Like you see what I'm saying?
And I've seen, like when you take someone who's not as experienced with positioning and map awareness, I have seen players essentially just juke their way through all of the attacks and take perfect engages. That's not abnormal. It happens regularly with players who have a very high degree of map awareness and a real knowledge of what weight can do, but there's also a reason why you can see just why so many people are still running heavyweights, because they can compensate for that movement. Yeah, we're going to get Sabbath, so we'll see things from the Zinfason's point of view. Alright, this is a pretty classic start to Xylem. The area that the Alpha team is occupying right now is kind of a good place where you can dip in and out of cover. Refer to it as Oval, while Purple team, Beta, is holding down what we refer to as Bridge, and also has access to pretty serious cover with that enormous tower in the middle of the map. So now we're going to see Zinfasons doing what they do best at the start, which is poking people in neutral from far away. You ever catch someone unaware, you can actually do enormous damage or even outright stagger them. But sometimes it can be enough just to deal chip, like we've seen here on Lulu so far. Alright, looks like the Larb Shield is doing also what it does best and getting super aggressive. Lulu's trying to make that shield work as best as possible to try to absorb a lot of the damage from those large cannons, also putting them on cooldown, which helps prepare this team for being...
Oh, they should change the map. Or did I already change the map?
You changed the map before you left, good sir.
Dude, I was in the restroom just like, oh shit, I should have changed the map before I went. And then I come back and you're playing, and I was like, huh?
They're all playing, they're going. they were going. That was a really great first engage. We see here from expected value. You see Farquaad and Ramen dueling here in the jungle. Going to be... looks like Farquaad got caught a little bit out, unable to really take full advantage of that cover there. But Ramen is going to get hit equally hard, and we have terminals popped on both sides. So far, we have not seen a single death from Beta Team yet, but the AP is looking a little rough for Ramen, and it's going to be on Alpha Squad here to avoid having that cycle set up. So Ramen is chasing in, but gets confirmed before he has a chance to build too much stagger on Sabbath. Get a change of perspective here. We'll take a look at Risa, who is also termed and is ratting for the back of the tower, seeing if she can get some kind of poke in here with the Passans, try to get some last-second value post-turn before she goes down, but is unable to do so. And Lulu's down. Looks like that is an attempt to set up a 3v1 here. Sorry,
we see Ramen just absolutely chilling back in the back of that jungle.
Yeah. What is he going to do? He has two he's armed.
What is he going to do? Indeed, look at this massacre.
He got caught, and it's like he's armed with thoughts and prayers without a team to support that. And that's why it's really, really important to not take engages. And I'm not trying to say Ramen did anything wrong here. This was a successful play by one of the dads that was able to figure out where that one person was.
Which one of the dads did the good play?
All of the one of the dads. I don't know any set theory. That's Taka's domain, not mine. All right, looks like we have
one of the dads.
One of the dads. 1/3 of one, 33% of one of the dads. All right, and Cradle is down here. We are playing a very even game right now. We are within 1 kill of each other at the 1 minute and 40-second mark. A lot of people are going to be thinking around this time, what can we do to set up that one big team fight where we can either set up a really great cycle, we can drop people's AP without taking too much damage, we can position effectively. Looks like Risa's thought here is to kind of take advantage of this tower. We see that classic kind of neutral falling to pull those missiles off course, and has completely gotten herself out of harm's way, but is detected at the last second. With Farquaad, just happened to get caught in his trajectory.
Really unfortunate mishap with those facades, just hitting that building instead of hitting Farquaad.
Yeah, God knows that happens to me all the time with my LCDs. And sometimes it's just dumb luck, sometimes it's people being really skilled, but it really fucking sucks when it happens to you. Oh, beautiful positioning from Ramen here to get away from Cradle's hammer, which will probably take half of his AP if that lands. Cradle on Basho arms and that super heavy frame. Yeah,
it did land, but he did make it out without taking the second hit.
Right. I didn't see it, but it was beautiful there. Now he's going to come in and try to keep that stagger going, but is caught out of sorts by Sabbath, and we have a term trade here. Ramen is going to run for his life, but is unable to avoid Sabbath. We have an incredibly close game. We're not knowing how this one's going to turn out right now. With 2v2 left in 18 seconds, it's really going to be a question of whether or not expected value has to make a play here, and whether or not they can delete someone, because when there's 5 seconds left, if nobody is termed, then there is nothing to be done. And round 2 here is going to go to one of the dads. Or all of the
tosses everything and is like, next game. Just get me into that next game.
Exactly. It's that GG go next mentality. And it's beautifully played. It was a 1 kill difference here. And we just see sometimes that's all it takes.
Kamel gonna head up into this guy here looking for a Fasan snipe. Does not find a good opportunity. Is that one? There it is. Does not actually find any purchase, unfortunately. Does get by some missiles. Oh, welcome back, Aceros. I almost had to commentate this for myself.
Oh, no. I would love to, I'm about to say, I'm always interested. I love the outside. I love the. I don't know if it's even fair to say you have an outsider perspective, but coming from ones, it's really interesting to see what people think of all of these kind of one-on-one skirmishes that go on inside, especially when two people kind of brawl away from the rest of their team, like we're seeing right now between Sabbath and Ramen.
What's strange about it is that it is hard to pull from my experience as a ones player and as a ones commentator, because we're not seeing like Larbshire versus Powerblocker, we're not seeing like Evil Statue versus Tokorobo. We're seeing Earrat versus Mosquito, and I'm like, I don't know what these builds do in a 1v1. Like,
you will see. I'd say if you come to some scrims,
that was a beautiful turnaround earshot by Farquaad.
Absolutely gorgeous. Oh, they are going to take his turn there, so now he's chasing Risa, trying to get that confirmed any way he can. Oh, and that's the problem about, say, you can make magic happen with a build like Earrat, but you have to have your dive player close at hand in a lot of situations, because the last thing you want is to end up taking one Zim pellet and exploding. When the amount of value you can put on that... Whoa. Those despawned for me on that screen. I don't know if that was just
it's spectator mode stuff.
Alright.
Unfortunately.
Really. Some really, really great plays we're seeing here. Farquaad being a little cautious here to avoid running into a fight that he knows he can't take against 3 players. Tried to come in for a cheeky floor ear shot. Gets punished, unfortunately. Here we're seeing a little bit more coordination from expected value this time. And that will be the end of Farquaad, but it looks like it's also going to be the end of Risa, unless she's able to get away.
It might be the end of one of the dads. I mean, this is a best of 5, but this is a 2-kill gap, my friend.
Absolutely. Still quite early. We're going to have to see. You know, I never put it past... The thing that's interesting is trying to follow the points to see what's going on sometimes can be misleading, especially with a comp like expected value, with both Ramen and Risa having builds that can really be an enormous pain in the ass post-term. And this highly strategic thinking where it looks like it's a pretty one-sided fight, and then 10 seconds later people pick up a proper set of confirms and they go down. We're just going to have to see. But so far, expected value's been able to hold that 2-kill lead. And Lulu taking an enormous amount of fire there. There's only so much that shield can do before it gets completely overwhelmed.
The heat wave gets termed here.
Yeah.
Well, Farquaad, the only
he might be able to come in. If he's lucky, yeah, he can pull off that big combo, and he's able to trade out with Ramen. That was a good move. About the best that Cradle could have done in that situation is to throw his bulk around, especially given kind of just how quickly those quad kicks can build up stagger. Having been a former heavy Tetra player myself, you can see a lot of value there, but there's just... This is going to be a hard fight for someone running a build like Crabzerker, given the amount of kind of light, ratty builds compared to what is quite heavy as far as a Tetra goes.
Your hammer can do 1 billion damage, but if you never connect with it, it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. But that's why you wait and you try to maintain aerial. You try to stay in the air as much as you can. And try to keep vantage on everything. If you know how to pick your targets, particularly I like chasing high stagger targets because the double hammer is just, it's a punish in the truest sense of the term. It fucks up everything, and it can really put an enormous damper on rushdown builds. But what's interesting here is we're not really relying heavily on rushdown from anything here except for our Zinfasons, where we're matched 1-to-1.
It's a 2-kill gap with 20 seconds on the clock. I do not think that one of the dads can take this.
I don't think one of the dads can take this here. I think it's very likely that they'll take Lulu out with 10 seconds left. They will. And we will see a 53-point gap decide this match. This was fantastically played on both sides. Some really incredible plays. A lot of pretty disgusting skill shots. We'll see. These are a lot of players who've really put in the work on these back cannons, people who know exactly what to do with their ear shots, with their facons. Sabbath happens to be running some facon, but also an LCD boat, just landing these kind of really dirty hits.
Let's see if one of the devs have changed anything. They have not. It's no build swaps so far
they
this entire
really,
tournament.
I think it's going to be interesting. Remember, these are both brand new teams. I'm about to say, one of the dads, none of these people played on the same team. And expected value is probably doing a lot of work helping bring Lulu up to speed on a lot of the stuff they used to do. communication-wise as Reap and so we're just going to have to see how this works out. But they might be workshopping their comps still. I'm hoping that we'll see these teams back for future stuffs and other tournaments, so that we can see whether or not what's going on is some kind of improvement. Oh, wait, holy shit, this is HT from Trigon. I love this song. Sorry.
No, you're fine. Don't worry about it.
I was about to say anime powers activated. Alright, we're going right in. It looks like Sabbath is going to go straight for Ramen, but Ramen is able to utilize that cover highly effectively and manages to hold on for a little bit longer, and we have Sabbath post-term, or sorry, pre-term. That's a very dangerous state you can be in, is having someone with like 6 AP left, where visually they look like they're in term or post-term, but they're actually not. I can't tell you the number of times that screwed me over, because there's an indication on the player bar when you reach terminal armor, but once it expires, you don't look any different than if you're just at super low health. That's unfortunately a limitation from Soft's UI, but it can be incredibly aggravating for a team who believes that they're post-term, or they have termed somebody already. Turns out that they haven't done it at all. Can absolutely drive me crazy, and it can also sometimes result in divers taking dives that aren't safe. Because if you just fire one Zim and the target just obliterates itself, you can then fly away. But if you shoot and they're termed, if you're lucky enough to avoid the kind of mental stun block of seeing it, you still have to get away from an enemy that can shoot back. And that's much harder than just flying off into the distance.
Especially scary with a build like Ramen, being, you know, almost termed, like pre-termed or whatever I believe you called it pre-termed?
Yeah.
Because Ramen's build doesn't get shot very often. So you can go...
It doesn't get shot. Yeah, you can generate enormous value.
It's all about value.
Apathy is regretting his 8,000 point bet. This is getting stressful for him. That's what it means when you've got two fantastic teams going in on it, and this is what we've got here. We're seeing some really, really big brain moves, strong use of cover, and a lot of restraint, which is something you won't see in lower level public matches. It's knowing when to take engages and when not to that really separates good players from the best players. I hope I learn that soon, because the monkey brain is real, especially if you play a build where you can tank a lot and just go in. You know, you'll never miss your AP as much as you do when you realize you're just so horribly out of position. But that's not happened a lot here. We've got a lot of really, really tight positioning, a lot of aerial combat to kind of minimize the amount of cover play we're seeing. But Jesus, particularly what we're seeing here from Ramen on beta team is just incredible use of cover and just kind of keeping Sabbath just a little too far away. But Sabbath's put in the hours on those facades and knows how to get that snipe and knows exactly the right moment. Coming in, looks like we got a good old fashioned.
I don't know if this is a. I don't know if this is a concept that Threes like really focuses on or something, but like just taking Mel out of that fight for even a moment was very impactful, because all of a sudden that 3v3 turns into a 2v2, and if your comp is designed on every single AC working in tandem, and one of your ACs just isn't there,
you lose.
It can be very devastating.
And frankly, I've been on the receiving end of that a lot. And that's why, you know, people talk about builds being lost in the garage. I don't know how much that gets talked about in ones. I wish I followed it closer.
It gets talked about a lot in ones. Build is very... it's crazy how in the game that encourages you to make a build for every mission, build matters. Yeah. It's wild.
It's fantastic, but the synergy between builds is harder. In ones, I think a lot of... I'm not going to go as far as to say, like, it's not solved or anything, but it usually can become apparent pretty quickly when one build is a good pick against another. Here in Threes, there's just so much going on. Like, there are some meta staples that you see lots of. Like, there are a couple of back weapons that are just on tons of builds. Earshots, Facades, LCDs. They just generate enormous value, and they have multiple uses. They're highly versatile.
And they lead to the development of
game. That is game. Holy crap!
Wow.
And that is another one to the dads.
56
this one
points.
is going to game 5. Holy shit! This is so
Lord.
even. This has been awesome.
Yeah, so people talk about builds a lot in ones because in ones it's just your build versus the enemy build. If your build isn't a viable build, and theirs is, you're kind of screwed a lot of the time. Like there's tier 1 builds and tier 2 builds. This is winners finals, winnowers.
This is actually game 5 winner finals.
Now I put winners finals in my title. There you go. But builds matter a lot in ones, and because of that, we actually started doing blind pick where your build is not locked in for the entire tournament. You can change your build after both players can change their build after every single match, which has opened up a lot of things. It's actually made a lot of more builds viable because let's say you're fighting against someone like KTN who pretty much just plays Lamb, just plays JP Lamb. You can counterpick what you know they play because it's such a tight-knit community. And knowing that, KTN can then, mind game you, and it becomes a whole game of mind games. It becomes more more interesting in that regard. Instead of just, my build has a bad matchup versus this build, I'm gonna lose. But a lot of time, the best builds in ones are the ones that don't have losing matchups. For example, Zim Shield, midweight Zim Shield is one of the best builds, if not the best build in the game, because it has every matchup is rough, but they're all rough in the same way. And they're equally amount. So you can just get really goddamn good with midweight Zim Shield, and all of your matchups are even or losing, and that's kind of fine.
Yeah, I mean, that's totally fair. I mean, again, with threes, I do think it is possible to throw a match with a bad build pick. We're not seeing anything like that here from everyone, but the synergy between different builds, Zim-Fasan is a good build. 3 Zim-Fasans on a team is not a good comp. That's really what the difference is. Okay, I feel like I want to try to get in on this match because this has been such an amazing game.
Yeah, go for it. This is best of 5.
Starting out. So we're seeing it a little more cautious here. It looks like while the early lead is definitely going in favor of one of the dads, it's still very, very early, and my guess is the teams are probably going to play this one a little more cautious, knowing that spot in Grand Finals is on the line here. We're seeing basically a hail of missiles, completely missing Ramen due to that extreme lightweight movement. Farquaad relying pretty heavily here on some of the mouse and keyboard manual aim shenanigans to kind of overcome the enormous difficulties with a hard block approach that a build like Mosquito comes in. But you see, with good positioning, those earshots bringing enormous value, just one shot, and Ramen is down to probably less than 5% of his AP.
Farquaad is 100% turned up in this game. Because he has gotten, I don't think a single earshot is missed so far.
No.
And it's been 2 minutes.
He has put in the fucking work on the earshots, but he still needs to be very careful of his positioning. And remember, he has some meat. I've heard him say that it's important for an earshot rat to have some meat. Some people run lighter variants, some people run fat Zimshot. There are variants, but a lot of the power of this particular build has to do with its ability to play mind games, to kind of pop out from cover to deliver one devastating strike and then run away as quickly as possible. And a lot of that skill lies in movement and kind of turning the fight into one where he has to be chased. And every once in a while, something happens. Ramen managed to catch him out. And now we see that EV is in a position here to deal massive damage and take Cradle. Here's an example of what we might have as a cycle here. So Farquaad's coming back up, Sabbath's coming back up. Ramen could look to try to die here if he was successful to try to avoid getting cycled. Might not work out that way. Might not matter because Farquaad just absolutely ground down to term very quickly by one of the dads. Holy crap, this is one of the most even threes matches I have seen in a long time. This is great play from both sides here. We see a big fight. The Fasan's putting in shit tons of work given the massive AoE they lay down. See huge pressure coming in from both Risa and Sabbath. Still so tight though, it's just too close. You can't really call it one way or the other. Oh, slight miscalculation there from Risa trying to use the Fasans defensively. We're still super close, and one good earshot or one good
earshot's
shot
just raining down on Risa, like right in her path, like perfectly placed.
This is the advantage of knowing your enemy very well. People know that Risa's movement is fantastic, and people know that her default instinct in a lot of fights is to run away. And if you happen to be one of those players with the movement where you can try to keep up with somebody like Risa and you have the right build for it, you can take a lot of the power of Zinfasan out of the fight. And as you said earlier, sometimes just having someone wasting their energy chasing you around rather than being part of a larger team fight is exactly what you need. Oh my god, it's still so close. Looks like we're going to get a full reset here if they are unable to find Risa. I feel like the dads are probably scrambling right now.
Now, 30 seconds on the clock. Does expected value need to do anything? Or do they just hide for 25 seconds?
No, they live it. So if it was a different team who didn't really have the movement to handle it, fine. Risa, okay, so Risa's the call target.
Shoot.
Oh,
okay,
no,
now
this
they
might
have
not
to kill. Now they have to kill.
So this is just going to come down to whether or not they're going to catch Risa.
Oh, Risa gets stuck. Risa gets stuck on the terrain. 5 seconds.
Let's go. So Parkov
Risa goes down.
Oh, they got him, and that's it. The last
game
is going to go to one of the dads. Game. That was absolutely fantastic.
Way.
That's an exact ample. They called it at the last second. Everybody go in on Risa. Risa doesn't have enough AP. It doesn't matter how fucking hard she's able to run away. One of the dads is able to capitalize it. That was absolutely fantastic from both teams. Everybody, great game. That was so well played. I hope this got saved somewhere. That we can shove that in front of some new players and be like, "That's how. That's how you play threes."
I've been recording this. This is going to make it into a
video.
video.
Yes, thank God. Please get this on YouTube. This is exactly the kind of content we need.
That's what I'm doing tomorrow. That's what I'm doing tomorrow.
We love you. Let's go. As the kids say,
10K pain points, let's go. Juku Men 1 versus Juku Men 2.
Let's go. Who are the Jukuist of men?
The most Juku. What does Juku mean? I didn't look this up just in case it's something bad.
I have no idea. I was like, anyone who speaks JP, drop it in the...
Yeah, what is in Juku in Japan a school attended in addition to one's normal school where students prepare for college entrance examinations?
Oh, it's a cram school. Holy shit.
Yeah, it's a cram school. Okay. So they're just school men 1, school men 2.
Men 2. I love that.
Sure.
It's academic.
It is academic.
We're playing a very analytic game here. I can get behind. Let's say I do science. I can get behind this. Let's go. All right, and we're seeing that Reb Shot boat and Takao playing on the Takao build for the Juku Men 1 team. Let's see. Are we seeing the same mirror? We see that weird, evil ramen light kite along with the heavyweight Zim Shot and the boat. So we're gonna have a boat battle.
We will have a boat battle.
So cool.
What are we watching? Juku Men 1 or Juku Men 2? What do you want to watch?
I think we can watch wherever. I'd pick one of the boats at the start here because we'll get good vantage.
Alright, watch the boat.
Alright, so here we go. We're going to see some neutral here. These boats are going to be looking for good angles on each other. Looks like we're seeing a pretty aggressive movement from Kurosawa going in on Kemuri. Kemuri dropping that big earshot, taking a big chunk and staggering both Takao and Kurosawa. Moving around, Plasman's trying. Yeah, already got one turn here on Kemuri. Big LCDs coming down, raining blue lights everywhere, making it hard to see shit. Oh, we see boat kicks. Gotta love the boat kick chain, one of my favorite things to do on LCD boat. Great way to abuse ACs that take a little bit longer to get out of those little staggering actions. This is a really interesting comp here.
Sarah showing no bias whatsoever to one comp or one build.
One build. No. I absolutely love the fact that we're seeing Reb Shot here. This is a build I'm hoping to see get more play. I am not very good at it. I have seen other people play it much better. There is a lighter variant that a lot of people favor that is a Lammergeier build that runs 2 Rebulas and 2 Duo 3s. That was my first 3s build. It was just a little bit too light and would get folded a little too quickly. But these double Rebula builds are seeing a lot of play, particularly in JP, and it's always interesting to see something new. Getting back into the action here, we see Takao putting in a little bit of that melee stagger chaining or kick chaining onto Plasman, picking up the turn here. Still an extremely even fight between the two squads. The boats spending a lot of time going at it, keeping things very even. You got to imagine these guys probably scrim each other all the time and are very familiar with tactics, so there's going to be a lot of mind games being played here. We see a chase maneuver here. Noin is the only one up for the second squad on Juku Men right now, but has managed to avoid taking damage. This is a classic example of avoiding that cycle, and is done easily through the fact that he has access to 61 PS. Just a great tool for denying that long-range poke, as long as you have the wherewithal to pay attention to it, as we've seen a lot tonight.
Yeah, they were live for an extremely long time in the threes environment.
Very long. And could take advantage of the sheer size of City B. It's a massive map. It can lend advantages to certain builds that have the quote-unquote have the schmovement to get around. It looks like we're seeing our friend Kurosawa here getting triple teamed and is quickly having their turn taken. Juku Men 2, sorry, here really trying to keep that narrow lead ahead, just trying to stay 1 kill away. This is what happens in a lot of matched fights, is sometimes all you really need to do is maintain a 1 kill lead and you play for points. You know, it's hard. It's really, really hard, but if you're really in tune with it and you're really locked in, it's something you can do here. And it looks like something we're seeing in this very much tit-for-tat bout between these two. Pretty much almost always a 2-on-2 here, except that... Oh, no, never mind. Takao is down, and we are again in a situation where we are in a 1-on-2. We see this boat very smartly repositioning itself to avoid getting absolutely ganked by the remaining people in the second squad. He's probably looking to pick up that confirm now and gets it just in time for his teammates to come in.
Did you see that?
Absolutely sniped. And that's the skill. That's what it means to know proper positioning and to time everything correctly. And this very quickly turned around as an engage that could have gone for 2 and is now firmly going for a 1. Looks like Plasman is probably out of EN here, ground being a very dangerous place to exist as an LCD boat. I would love to see from both of these boats a little bit more use of neutral LCDs as a confirm when they're being caught out. It looks like they are really relying on their teammates, but if it works for them, it works for them. And we are 11 points between these two teams with 40 seconds left to go. Let's say we have no idea how this one's going to go yet. It's really going to come down to how we plan this last engage. So hopefully everyone's keeping a close eye on the AP bars and staggers, looking for who's the good target, and communicating clearly for who that target that everyone's going to bum
bullying
rush.
the heck out of Kurosawa there, just not letting them play the game for a bit with these tank kicks.
Absolutely not, and he's going to try to confirm that. And with 18 seconds left, the real question here is going to come down to between Takao and Noin, who goes down first. Oh, this is going to be a massive nail biter. One is purged on
13:22 to
purple.
13:33.
Yeah, 3-3.
No, they can't get the confirm.
Takao is down. So the question is whether or not Noin goes
one
down.
makes it out!
And he lives it. The successful purge gives the first round to Juku Men's second squad. Absolutely beautiful. These are fantastic games. That was beautifully well played. Look how even those scores were incredibly even. We're seeing less than a 200-point diff between all 6 people. Just a little bit of a strong performance from Noin, repping that
One Zim
warming
Ricochet
tight.
was the difference between winning that game and losing that game. One Zim Ricochet.
And if you're an adrenaline junkie and you live on the edge of chaos, that's what makes this format so much fun. Is we're all sitting, just everyone's in gamer pose, you know, bent over, just praying that one pellet finds its mark, or praying that last AB shuffle gets you out of the danger zone. And that's what makes and breaks games, and also why I don't play rat builds. The kind of wide open nature with lots of room to maneuver might favor them here, but we'll have to see. God knows it was so close. There's certainly a few more places to hide for cover. That thing we refer to as shell, kind of the strider, not to be confused with Strider Easy. The little chunk of the strider down here can provide pretty effective cover, particularly in neutral, but it looks like that's not the way that these teams want to play it. I am seeing just really aggressive positioning here from Juku Men 1. Looks like Kurosawa is going Leroy Jenkins, followed up immediately behind him by Plasman, and then Takao is going to come in and try to see what damage he can do here. See, Noin working that shield, everyone desperately trying to build stagger. Takao is able to get the melee punish off, and the Zims extend and are able to pick up the terms. So we are looking at a 1-for-1 trade on the first engage here. I think...
Might be 1 for 2.
Yeah, it looks like 1 for 2 here, depending. Yeah, and there's Karasawa's term and Kemuri's term. Everybody except for
Plasman's doing fine.
Out. Yeah, he's just big chilling. This is great for him. Web Shot is also a build that can have some issues confirming, as we just saw from Mateo's perspective, where he really did kind of have... he had Kemuri dialed in pretty successfully, but God, Rebula projectiles travel so slow, and wasting ear shots... Like, if you have to use an ear shot to confirm because it's that or die, maybe, but it's just not a good option. Like, the Zimmerman is the best confirmation tool in all of threes. And it really shows.
That was such a silly interaction between Takeo and Plasman. Just
exactly.
Like, I know you're in there. Come on out.
Just come on out. But, you know, maybe you're able to pull that cartoon move where you fake them out and you deke them and you go the other way.
Yeah.
I got
Wile
my
Coyote
shit
and Roadrunner shit or something.
Yeah,
some
and
Scooby-Doo
people
shit.
do it. It's awful. I had it happen to me during I did a pickup game the other day, and I got Scooby-Dooed. I think it was probably Farquaad who did it to me, where I was I was so sure he was going to come out one way, and he just didn't. And you play mind games with people, and, you know, you can really fuck up someone's day. Alright, and there goes Takeo here, and it looks like we are 1 for 1. It looks like Mateo is going to be smart here and hang back out of the fight. Juku Men 2 seems to have reassembled and have quite a lead here. They're hoping that we're going to pick up Kurosawa before the next engage happens, but Juku Men 1 is going to have to make a play here in the near future. Okay, scrubbing Noin immediately turns this into a 3v2, but Juku Men 2 are aware of that. They were just trying to see if Noin could pick up any value, but he could not. So now the question here is whether the first squad is going to be able to capitalize on this 3v2, and it looks like they are. Kemuri's AP is gone, and he is going to be forced to exit that engage or go down. And he chooses the latter. This is a solid play by Juku Men 1. They're really staying close together. They have to watch out for those big area of effect weapons like earshots and LCDs, but they've done a good job sticking to one target and avoiding splitting, and they pick up Plasman's term. Okay, so now Juku Man 2 are in the more interesting position here of trying to avoid getting cycled nastily. Yeah. Looks like Kemuri is the prime target for the whole team now.
More interesting position is such a good, nice way of saying losing.
Yeah.
Nicer way to losing.
But the thing is, like, you know, you can talk about how you're technically losing because your points are lower, but I think lots of times I've seen a team who had lower points, and then I stopped looking at the points counter for 20 seconds, and I look back, and I'm like, oh, oops. You know, like, oh, fuck, I wasn't paying attention, should have taken that engage.
In a game like threes, like, the point value can swing so rapidly, especially when you have talented teams like we do.
Exactly, and we see it's still pretty tight, but Juku Men 1 is kind of pulling away with this at the last minute. The question is really not whether or not Kurosawa is going to be able to get away. Probably not. Kemuru's probably about to drop earshots on him. He gets termed from the Zimmermans, but he manages to avoid the earshots, at least on our screen. Question here is whether or not Juku Men 2 can quickly decide to burn a target as quickly as humanly possible. I would argue Spider Lily's a little out of position here, but has decided to purge the earshots, but it's not going to be enough. Spider Lily's inability to get away from that fight might actually cost them.
There it is!
But if they can confirm Kemuri, let's see.
It's 12:35 and they take it!
Yep, and they take it at the end. That is the difference between one player's positioning. You know, Mateo was just unable to get away from Crater, and you know, when you're getting 2 earshots, 2 facades, 2 zims, missiles, you know, no build can survive all of that. And that's where we get these absolutely ridiculous flips at the last minute. God, these teams are making this co-casting job so easy. They're just, every game is just an absolute nail-biter. This is sick. I picked a good day to be here. Alright, and we go. Oh, we do see a switch up. Ramen has decided to bring out the Takao build. He's very experienced with this build, and he is going to bring it out against the team that spawned it. And we see no change on the Juku men's second squad. I just forgot the name of Plasman's AC, but that's totally fine. It'll be interesting.
Dude,
this is
we can just call them
aggressive
Juku men
matchup.
now. We don't have to call them Juku
Yeah, they're
men
just
too.
Juku men.
It's great. They won the
But
name.
if I don't keep saying the number, I'll never get it.
That's
No,
true.
all right, so it looks like we've got a pretty classic start here. We see some inching up from Lulu. Lulu can really afford to be the vanguard here for expected value, just because the fact that she's really, really tanky on that PB-like frame. Oh, and we're getting right into it. This is a far more aggressive comp from EV than we saw in their match against one of the dads. So I'm hoping that they're going to put that to full use here, using Lulu to really dole out a crap ton of damage with those laser weapons while also absorbing a lot of the damage. Lulu has gone down as the first blood for this match, but the expected value is still in a great position here, having hammered the JP team particularly hard and taking Kemery out and leaving Nguyen post-term as well. Now, this is an interesting matchup we're seeing between Plasman and Lulu. Lulu knows this very well from playing against me and playing against Sabbath and playing against other boat players, how easily you can shut down LCD boat, because if Plasman mistimes those LCDs and Lulu eats them with the shield, they have quite a formidable cooldown, and you are basically a giant floating target with nothing but HMLs in your hands, which is a bad place to be against somebody with 2 LRBs and VE20C gen. Oh.
You're
And
not going to really
Plasman
get anything
goes-
done. That's the thing with LCD boat is that if you miss the LCDs or they get parried, you can just be kicked locked, like we saw this back in Jukuman 1 versus Jukuman 2, where you just get stun locked because you have no get off me tool. Your get off me tool is charge LCD, and if you whiff that, that's like a 5-6 second cooldown.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly what it is. I wish some of the people in this community, like, shout out to everybody who's like basically memorized all the frickin' spreadsheets. I'm amazed. I can't do that. Like,
It's a nerd game.
I remember seeing like
I've said this
it
so
is a
many
nerd
times.
game, but
It's
like,
a nerd game.
I'm not nerdy enough. Clearly, I just
Do your
remember
homework.
looking at all the shit that, like Afro would cook up this stuff, and really recently, Vika, who I think is also a regular in the one scene, posted some spreadsheets. She calculated like all of the different stat spreads from all of the different frames on all of the different gens, and just put it up there. I wish we could really match that level of diversity in what actually gets picked, but it's really great to know that the community is so active, exploring the ridiculous number of combinations that you can really make. And I just hope that kind of leads to an expanding meta. Maybe one day it'll need a little bit of a balancing from us if it doesn't come from Lord Miyazaki or FromSoft, but we'll have to see. Alright, in that little bit of time, it looks like we're still pretty tight in this match here. A 1-kill diff as both Plasman and Lulu are removed. We see another 2v2 here. Emery really putting in work, trying to shut Risa down with those earshots. Now he's trying to run away and is probably going to suffer from his lack of speed and immediately gets termed, but manages to confirm Risa and is now starting to chase Ramen, a dubious prospect always. Although Ramen is a little bit slower on this melee build than he is when he's running the Mosquito, but it doesn't matter because Plasman was in the right place at the right time and gets off a powerful LCD here. Oh, these are all such tight games. Dear God.
Where
I
is
love
the
it.
players from
Just-
the entire from
Team.
both the West Coast
Yeah.
and the East Coast.
And because
Coast,
and then the East,
and then the very, very East Coast, like the super
and
East
wherever,
Coast.
and the EU. I feel like we don't give enough love to our EU players. We
There's
had a
like
bunch
5
of EU
of
people,
them.
especially because it's
Like, let's
yeah,
be-
but it's like stupid early in the morning for them.
It is very
You know,
early morning. That is true.
shout out to the people coming from the European Union. Also, I think we have some gamers in either Australia or New Zealand. I don't know if Palm's here. There are a couple. Like, it really is a global game. I mean, obviously, NA and GP are the 2 largest pools, But it's been great to see. It was funny though. For a while, the entire
I don't think Plasman is getting away.
No, I don't think Plasman. This is a dubious prospect for both.
Wait a moment, a dubious
just
creature?
Whether or not his... Don't move. Oh no, I don't think moving was the right move there. But it might not matter. They really just don't see him. And the first round is going to go to expected value. Yeah.
Expected value got them.
But that's a hard part. If you're not all in the time zone together, you said at the beginning of the stream, like, trying to get 6 fucking people in a room is hard. It just sucks. But damn, is it fun when it works out.
See, no matter how big the player base is, getting 6 people is hard. Like, it would be easier, yes, but it still wouldn't be, you know, the most simple thing ever.
Alright, and we're going in. As I said earlier, I find this map to be one of the hardest maps to play boat effectively on, so it's possible that expected value views this pick as playing to their strengths and potentially proving to be a disadvantage, particularly for Plasman, but maybe for all of the Juku men squad here. You get to see a lot of very tight brawling going on between these ships. The areas in front of the ships and behind them tend to be a lot more exposed, which can be useful in certain contexts, but being able to hug the bodies of these ships can make for some really cool plays. I find particularly from lightweight ACs that are able to kind of skirt the line very effectively here. Interesting. Okay, so the first term of the match is going to be in favor of expected value. Looking at Kemery, we see the boat playing on the ground again, kind of trying to stay relevant in this fight without getting caught too far out. Manages to avoid taking any fire, though it looks like most of the attention was on 9. Although Ramen's coming in to try to land that melee combo on Plasman and is successful at the cost of his own turn, but the boat's turn will go first, so Ramen can pick up that confirm. Question here is whether or not Kemery can see Ramen. He seems to not see Ramen, he's too concerned.
Dude, what?
Yeah, Ramen pulled off another combo. That is post-turn value. That's what we love to see.
Ramen just hiding behind the leg of of the space when actually able to pop their term with that much damage on 1 AP.
Let me see what it
That's my soup, man.
The soup.
Use some LRB gameplay. I actually so boat has a ton of energy defense. Yes. Usually this doesn't matter an absolute ton in 1s, but in 3s I can imagine the LARP shield here is just going to mostly be ignoring them.
Yeah, VE20. So there's a theory. I don't know if everyone agrees on it. Again, I don't want to speak for the entirety of competitive 3s because people can disagree with me, and that's totally fine by me. But there's kind of a general theory I've seen of target priority, where, well, let's say you're facing against a team with like a mid-weight hybrid build, like an ear rat, a mosquito, like what we saw Ron playing earlier, in an LCD boat. It makes absolutely no sense to focus the boat in a 3v3 because the boat will last forever and you can't put downtime on it. It can be an enormous pain in the butt. It requires a lot of resources because it's just a lot of AP to chew through, even if you're all playing great and beating, really beating on them like expected value has been doing this match. But if you're able to catch one of these, Sabbath is asking you short in chat. I can't see Alpha's health bar.
Yeah, actually, it's weird.
I don't know.
You
can call it. I don't know. Again, a very close fight. We have a 1-kill advantage in favor of expected value with 1.5 minutes left to go. Both Lulu and Noin looking a little worse for wear AP-wise, but it does not seem to be bothering anybody, although it looks like Ramen's going to be winning this duel against Noin, taking the Larb Kite. I don't really know what to call it. It really does just... I call it Ramen Kite, but Ramen's not playing it, ironically. Ramen's playing Takao. Everybody's just playing each other's builds. Thanks, Striker.
Etsurat now. It's a mosquito. Like
You
the
can
double
call it whatever
incision,
you
double
want.
duo 3, that's a mosquito.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, gamers. I'm forcing y'all to go back to animal names. It's way too much fun.
Aminal. I've always been like, it's the portmanteau of weapons. Most of the builds I played. Reb Shot. Reb Lamb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what we've turned.
I don't want to get tripped up on semantics, but I do want to point out that careful target priority, which is done through effective communication, is what's allowed the team expected value here to be able to kind of suppress Noin for the most part, as well as Kemery, probably keeping the point total a little lower than we usually see. We've seen that Risa has gone ahead and purged, and
Risa's
having the
basically
lowest
5
AP.
seconds to survive.
Yes,
2,
Risa
1. Okay, now she's good.
That's it. So that match is going to go in favor of expected value, and we will be going 2-0. This is still BO5 though, right?
Yes, it's no best of 5. Yes, that is how seeding usually works for Dawn. Y'all were seeded last because y'all were a new team, so y'all got to fight high seeded opponents because that's how the seeding works. Which is good. You get really good practice out of it. Y'all got to fight really good teams.
I believe too. Just come back. Don't get discouraged. Please come back.
Exactly. You see the potential of the game mode.
That's all that matters. All right, and Ramen's going straight in with this dive, trying to do what he can to Plasman as quickly as possible, try to shut down those LCDs and prevent that kind of orbital fire support that Boat does so well. He's going to utilize the shell very effectively here. Boat's going to have a hell of a time getting through that. And it looks like Noin was none the wiser. They're too busy thinking about how to handle Risa, who's also providing fire support from above. Here we're just seeing the incredible movement that some of these players have demonstrated here. Ramen's movement is dangerous on any build, and coupled with the kind of hit-and-run tactics that we see with this team that largely favors double Zims, he can just kind of get in, get out, take advantage of that massive Santai energy, and just get where he needs to go. Woo. All right, that first engage swings heavily in favor of expected value, although Lulu is left, I believe, post-term, and we have a fully reset Juku men coming in to try to catch Ramen out. See how this goes.
Ramen would just disengage. Ramen just trying to hold on to this life as much as possible. Gets LCD shotted.
Indeed. Mm-hmm.
LCD shotted?
It's not necessarily the greatest use of the LCD, but sometimes you got to do what you got to do. I like dropping charge, personally, a lot of the time. If you're chasing somebody in term, or you really desperately need that last shot to put somebody into term, sometimes waiting. The animation on charged LCDs has a slight wind-up that in this game mode can really fuck you if you're not careful. I have that happen all the time. And so again, I've learned to play a lot with the uncharged for that. But also being caught without charged LCDs when you can deliver a good charged LCD sucks. So it's yet another mind something to occupy the brain meat.
This is one of those games that just like really overloads your brain. Like there's a lot to keep track of
really
at all
does.
times.
There's a lot going on. I get terrible headaches sometimes, but it's an addiction that come back. Just was saying, while it seemed earlier that expected value had the lead here, this has now swung majorly in favor of Juku men, ahead by 5 kills here and absolutely battering down Lulu, doing massive damage, although this boat is now caught on the ground. Again, the worst place to be. You can't get out. Boat is much more mobile in the air. And now we see kind of a quick reversal here, but still a very, very impressive couple of engages from Juku men, taking a commanding 5-kill lead with 1.5 minutes left to go. Expected value is going to have their work cut out for them, but I do believe it is always
mathematically possible to come back from this unless Juku men
Yes.
just...
Oh yes. I have made that mistake many, many times. I don't discount. When you bring in top-level players like this, you do not discount the possibility of massive comebacks. And frankly, sometimes people just fuck up. We're all human. Looks like big damage here on Kemery, and we're seeing slightly more defensive and movement-oriented play from expected value. Trying to keep that 1038 exactly where it is, not making it much worse. Ramen will pick up a turn, though, as will Risa, but both of these players, as we know, are very dangerous post-turn. Juku men are going to have to pick up the confirms quickly, which they do this time, taking out everybody and leaving Lulu post-term as the only one left. They probably didn't need to cycle there. That was probably the right move. They don't really need to worry about the 3v2 because now with 30 seconds left, it probably is not possible for them to recover. That's why we no longer see Ramen moving. My guess is Risa is probably equally idle.
Yeah, they're probably just talking about like what they're going to do next. What changes they're going to make.
Yes, Demon's right. Boat is more useful in the air.
True.
The guy who's
great.
just...
We're so back, bro. A body with a ton of channel points on the line.
A pretty commanding victory in Game 3 for Juku men. I'm sure that what we're going to see here is expected value kind of rethinking their strategy here and seeing how they can claw back that necessary third win.
This could be real.
Calls for a hold. Everyone's calling for a hold.
Hold your copium, chat. This could be real, but it could also not be real. This was posted by Palika. I trust Palika. Palika rejoined my Discord to post this.
You trust the Ducket gamer?
Yes, I trust the Ducket gamer.
We love Palika. Alright, are we getting a confirmation somewhere?
It's on SteamDB, it's real! Let's fucking go! I trust Researcher. If there was one person I would trust about this stuff, it would be Researcher. Either Researcher or TKGG.
Right, well, okay,
there is an update soon! Holy shit!
Oh my god.
Holy shit!
Alright. Well,
my
I'm
career
sure we'll
is
go
saved!
over that.
My career is saved!
Somebody from something
my ass was looking at throwaway jobs, dude. My plan was to get a throwaway job in November, December, and then quit it and go back to full time in January. Let's fucking go.
I'm sure somebody at FromSoft is like, this one dude is gonna starve if we don't put out our ventilation patch.
This guy's gonna have to go back to Taco Bell if we don't do something.
Yeah.
Let's go like a eat again. Hell yeah.
All right. Let's see.
Go ahead.
Live with round 4 here. No, we're all good. And first engaged, a little bit all over the place. Looks like First Blood's going to go to expected value. Risa is post-term. But Plasman, they built pretty high stagger, and that will term the boat. Risa is down, and Ramen is termed here. Looking like we're gearing up for another absolutely close to the nail fight. Very brawly so far from what I'm looking at it. Everyone's pretty close. You got to watch out for stuff like this because it's absolutely prime conditions for someone with good vantage and earshots, which we have present here. All right, Lulu's going down again, leaving a 2v3 situation here, unless expected value can pick up the confirm on 9. Which looks like that was weird. That may have been a netcode moment. Oh no, he's down. Sorry, I must have lagged for a second there. Alright, now we're doing the 2v2. We see Ramen absolutely demonstrating these very close maneuvers we see from a lot of mobility-oriented players. Using these boats for cover, staying away from the splash radius of the large back cannons, but now we're again in an all-out brawl in the middle. Looks like, again, it's actually super even. Looks like Kemery and Ramen are both going to go down here. Or Kemery managed to escape. Nope, Kemery's down. So we are again in the 2v2 situation, although they have managed to pick the AP off of Lulu. Big problem with the AP sponge running out.
One second.
See if there's any last minute
Researcher, it's actually not easy anti-cheat. I learned this by talking to somebody. I thought this is by talking to somebody who's very familiar with Armored Core 6 and Elden Ring's netcode. It's not easy anti-cheat's fault. It's actually what From Software put in place to catch the things that easy anti-cheat can't catch. That's what's fucked up the netcode so bad. It's not easy anti-cheat. It's FromSoft themselves. unfortunately.
Because I've played other EAC games that don't have network problems as bad. Also, I'm like, I don't know anything on a technical level about it. I do code for a living, but I don't know anything about gaming netcode. I have no idea if it's something that was
Of course you code for a living. I'm the only dumb person in this community. It's wild.
It's not true. That is absolutely not true. And writing gaming netcode is on another level. It's very just writing, netcode in general, whether it be for a game or something else, is very finicky. Asynchronous programming is a pain in the ass, and we have no idea. It would be interesting to learn more about that particular aspect of how the game is coded. But
yeah, sorry, Mel. Yeah, we should talk about the game. I'm
knowledge.
just kind of overwhelmed by the fact that we might be getting a patch soon.
Sorry, Sabbath. You are right.
Yeah, game fight might be coming, but it doesn't look. It might not be likely. Look at this point difference. Just 1 kill away.
Yeah, about to say we have a 1-point diff here. Looking like Ramen is probably going to be the prime target if Juku wants to make a move. Looks like it's not going to work out for them, though, and instead Kemery is going to pick up the turn. The question here, all right, Ramen is down as well, are we going to see a turnaround at the last minute? We're looking at the 2v2. The AP advantage is to Juku. All right. See what's going on. I'm seeing chase here between Ramen. Oh, wow, we're in another big fight. It's looking like the turns this time are on Risa and on Noin. Risa goes down. They'll probably try to pick up Noin as quickly as possible. Ratting for 30 seconds on Spaceport is going to be a tall order. So the question is whether or not they can actually hang in the fight long enough to turn the tide here, or whether or not... I think we are now at the point where it looks like this round is going to go to the Juku men. We just have too much AP in 10 seconds for expected value to reach through. So it looks like we are, in fact, going to Game 5 again, friends. Let's go.
Yeah, are we watching on Jukumen 2's screen here?
Yeah, let's give that a shot. Take a look from Kemery's perspective. It's going up. Kemery could take big advantage if expected value decides to bum rush someone and they get clumped. If you're really in that right position and everyone's close together, you could get massive value off of those big ear shots. He decides to go for the stationary target here, but again, he decided they seem to be targeting...
Oh my gosh,
preferentially, they were looking at Lulu. Yeah, and the parry does not work out, and neither do the ear shots, so it looks like Kemery is going to be the first one to go down. And we go over to Plasman, who's playing pretty aggressively into Lulu. From playing this exact matchup against Lulu, this is a really tough fight for an LCD boat if Lulu's able to use the shield effectively. But Plasman's able to get out, but those VE-20C LRBs are just going to work for Lulu, and we see that it is a straight trade. Alright, early dominance from expected value. We see a 350-0.
Early dominance, but Lulu is termed. Like, Lulu can just get exactly right there, and that's a 3v2.
And Ramen's at low AP too, so yeah, we're going to see how they take this engage. I'm interested to see if the teams play this one a little bit more cautiously, again, knowing that it's BO5. We saw how expected value did this, again, with one of the dads. They definitely can take heavy advantage of cover here again and play around the warships. But we're just going to have to see about how the Jukumen decide to position themselves and to try to negate that advantage by getting through to the chase or by punishing the clumping with the heavy back cannons. Let's see. Still fairly even. Looks like Noin is kind of just kiting around, trying to put some damage out on Ramen, but not working out. Ramen's speed. We see good target. We haven't really talked about target switching either, how important it is to know when to chase someone versus when not to. That there are lots of times when it can be really, really advantageous to just switch targets. And that's where these pips that you see next to everybody's player portrait, there are 3, and they're alternating between dark gray and light gray. That's how many of the enemy teams locked onto that particular player. And it can be a really useful visual guide for teams players to know when it could be advantageous to switch targets or when to identify that people are split when they should not be.
It is, in my
But so
opinion,
far
the
we've
worst
seen-
part of the Spectrum Mode UI, because it is
Yeah.
just so goddamn small and
Small. I didn't know it
doesn't
existed.
Exactly.
I played hundreds of threes matches before someone queued me in. We try to queue people in on
And
its
it's
existence
so
immediately.
important too. It's like
Yeah,
so
it's
important.
really good. Yeah. Oh, beautiful. It's when people look like they have foresight, it's just because they know how to read those pips.
Yep.
A solid chip from Kimmery manages to take out Lulu, and we are at a 2v1. Risa's doing her best to stay away from everything right now, but has been discovered by Plasman. He's going to have a hard time matching her speed on this map, and unfortunately isn't able to really make anything happen, and is going to get caught redlined and have to deal with Lulu, who is very adept at bullying boats. Ramen joining in on the fun as well. It looks like Plasman's probably going to be the next one to go to term, if they can confirm it, and they do. And now all three players have switched to targeting Noin. They're just trying to pick up these terms as quickly as possible. I think they're trying to widen their lead. 2 kills is not particularly comfortable, but if they could set up something like a 4-kill lead with a minute left, expected value would be in a great position to take this set. It's interesting. We have pretty low AP across the board, except for Plasman here. Still a 1-kill diff. Looks like Noin's struggling with the camera a little bit. And Risa will be the next pop. As with Noin, okay, we see 2 terms in favor of 1 term.
It's a very interesting
for
board
expected
state because
value.
like it's basically just going to go down to a 1v1 at some point.
Yes, I'm pretty sure that either a 1v1 or a successful rat maneuver is going to decide who wins this.
Ramen is getting the AP lead, keeping Plasman at low AP, and then just running away. I absolutely love this
very
play.
smart. It's very effective and comes, I think, heavily from his time spent now working on the stagger rat and really knowing to play for points and playing for keeping stagger up, especially on a build.
Yeah,
again,
that's
I
game.
keep talking about boat. That is going to be game in favor of expected value.
Extremely
Really well played
close,
from
though.
both teams. Hats off to both
damn.
teams.
Really had two. We had a best of 5, a game 5 best of 5, then a game 3 best of 3. But no. Actually, Juku was 2-0. Never mind. We've so far both best of 5s have been game 5, which is not usual for for Armored Core 6.
No, and we had one that was decided on 1 kill and one decided on 2 kills. Oh, we're going Jorg.
We are
We're
going
straight to the
Jorg.
pit. We haven't had a Jorg match on stream yet. This is going to be
Apparently,
sick.
apparently,
right.
Three's players don't like Jorg.
Yeah, so there's some debate. I won't. Again, I don't like strictly taking sides and things.
Okay, well then
people have been deciding-
here's what you do, Aseros.
Yeah,
Tell me
yeah.
how you feel about Jorg. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, so I like Jorg, but the problem is I like Jorg because my build works well on Jorg. And if my build didn't work well on Jorg, I probably wouldn't like it. So again, a lot of it comes down to what you're playing. Jorg is a meat grinder. I feel like it heavily favors... and frankly, I just feel like Earshot's absolutely wreck shop on this map. But the discussion going on right now is between Jorg being in the map pool and Grid 86B. And there are some arguments for either side. I like both maps, frankly. I wouldn't really care if both were in rotation. But I know that there's some people who feel very strongly in favor of Jorgen and some people who feel very strongly in favor of Grid. It's just tough because the map pool for threes is already pretty small. But yeah, I have a feeling this will be a really interesting fight, but we'll see how the tiny size of Jorg as a map is
That's
going
so
to affect
unfortunate.
this.
Those about hitting the archway and not getting the second facade off. I don't think it would have mattered, but
Absolutely.
that really sucks.
Tough. One thing you will see a lot of the time as far as like kind of higher level thinking is that teams at the start of the match will try to control the platform, which is the area if you're like looking towards the objective from the campaign mission, the tower. It's this platform to the right of it. It's a great place for kind of running around, employing rat maneuvers. I'm sure you're going to see a lot of movement around that area, and having control of it early on can really swing a map in its favor. But the main thing here is that there's basically nowhere to hide. Like, there are the rat holes, which are kind of these covered areas, but the spawns are always very close. It's very easy to get absolutely fucked on your spawns in this map. and it's going to basically just be a constant brawl. And the question is going to be who's able to capitalize on that better. It'll be interesting to see how this goes. Okay, first blood here is going to go to Team Expected Value, who is able to take out Sabbath, although Cradle, Ramen, and Lulu Lulu's down, and Cradle is down, and my guess is Ramen is probably running for his life somewhere, seeing tons of terms. Non-stop action, this is what it's like to play on Jorgen. Probably going to see a high-scoring game, if I had to guess. The number is probably going to go up.
There's not really room to breathe on Jorgen. Like, it is. There's virtually no cover. So, like, you're talking about how important scan is in this game.
Yes.
I don't think scan matters as much on Jorgen because you kind of just see them.
No, probably doesn't. I'm sure you're still gonna get scans. A lot of these players are like, I mean, fuck, they already have good scan heads. Most of the good scan heads kind of have a lofty place in the threes meta already. You'll see lots of hammerheads. You'll see, whoa, we'll jump there. We'll see lots of ephemera heads are quite popular. But there are some people who favor kind of these lighter weight Statnet's head. VP44D is a very popular pick. Although there are now kind of a new group of players who are moving towards Hammerhead because of dealing with Eggshot and people just getting sick as hell getting micro-stunned. But, you know, if you have the scan, you might as well use it when it can be effective. But you are absolutely right that there are no, you know, long distance, you know, there's not a lot of long distance play going on here. You can really get a lot of value on some of these heavily brawling builds or builds who can deliver massive AoE payloads. I think we're going to see Farquaad really putting in the work here. Earshot Rat is a very effective build to play on Jorgen. But we'll see how it goes for everybody else. Right now, we're slightly skewed in favor of one of the dads, but it's definitely too early to call. And it looks like, Jesus, I almost said evaluated response. I'm tired. That expected value is going to be able to put the hurt on the dads here, taking out both Sabbath and putting Farquaad post-turn.
Farquaad chasing Risa down, trying to get the confirm, but kind of struggling to.
Getting out circle boosted. It's tough. My guess is he's probably particularly low on EM. There's only so much he can do. Heatwave, yeah, I think Heatwave will be an interesting one to watch here. Just kind of, it can thrive in the right situation where it can really brawl out, throw that whip around, throw its legs around. And in a small map like this, those Act 2s, those homing missiles, can kind of become a pain in the ass. Might be harder to put in the work with the missiles on Ramen, just given the movement that he has access to on the Mosquito build. But, you know, he can bully Lulu pretty severely with it. And a lot of this, again, is going to come down to target priority. Looks like right now they are split somewhat, but they will probably recover, and the dads are picking up a pretty healthy lead with 45 seconds left to go here.
This feels mathematically impossible to come back from.
Yes, I don't think they can come back from this. This, I think, again, is getting map diffed. I would argue, I think the problem here is that it was a good map in favor of the dads here, because I feel like both Heatwave and Earrat benefit very, very heavily from this map pick. We'll have to see if they're able to keep this momentum up if we move off of Jorgen to something else. But yeah, it looks like round one here is going to go in favor of one of the dads. Alright, that is game.
This is grand finals of the 3v3 Scuff Cup.
Researcher, I absolutely believe that you're right over me. I don't know. I was just trying to explain the terminology. I have no idea what.
I will have to get with the researcher to talk about that later. But right now, we're looking at the beautiful Fasan Snipe, which does not sadly connect.
Yes.
We're gonna watch expected value this time.
All right.
Check out Lulu's perspective. You see you're chasing down. Looks like I believe that's Melzabath.
Yep. Lulu is
it's
just
earshot
trying to be
in the
aggressive.
back and then into the Fasan, trading with Sabbath.
And it ends up being a straight trade for Sabbath, which is interesting. See, Risa's playing a little more cautious here. Looks like Farquaad is the next target.
But look at that value, the 1 AP value on Lulu, though, being able to take down Farquaad.
Ramen is able to pick up confirms very easily with those Etsugens and is now going in. It's going to try to put as much stagger as possible, but the Mosquito in the Heat Wave is going to be a tall order.
I do not agree with Ramen's Mosquito jumping in on the Crabzerker like that. That is a death sentence and a half just waiting to happen.
I don't think he had any other targets at that time. I think Cradle was the only one up.
Yeah, but you don't go in for a kick, though. Not against a Crabzerker. Gosh.
Yeah, maybe that wasn't the smartest move, but we'll have to see what goes on further. It looks like right now, Dad's strategy, one of the Dad's strategy, seems to be primarily to try to take Lulu out of the picture as quickly as humanly possible. In that case, we see that being done with a body bump there, and basically trying to keep Farquaad on the run as much as possible on the expected value side to keep him from just constantly dropping earshots, which can make pretty short work of both Sabbath's build, both Risa's build and Ramen's build. These people are on weird teams. I'm used to thinking of people being on different teams. Oh, that was an interesting play there from Ramen, accidentally kicking Sabbath into the oncoming fire there, and Ramen is going to go down here, setting up a 1v3, I believe, although Sabbath is post-turn. Risa is picking one of the preferred hiding spots. Chilling out in the entrance. It is a useful spot, and she knows
actually does get away without getting staggered. Look.
Oh, yeah. Takes a little bit. She's trying to reset. Farquaad's going to do whatever he can here to try to keep Risa from resetting that stagger, and it works out in this case. Risa is termed, although Farquaad is down, and it looks like we're going to pick up Cradle's turn here. Again, we're swinging pretty heavily in favor of one of the Dads at the moment. I think we're seeing just kind of a harder time here trying for expected value to build expected value.
Oh, yeah.
That was a terrible attempt at a joke.
That was fine. Don't worry about it. Going straight for Farquaad. Gets Fasan.
Yeah.
I'm L. Ramen's very kick happy this game. It's interesting. Being very aggressive. And be as disruptive as possible.
Well, let's call them evil statues this time. Expected value has actually done a pretty good job here, tying up what was almost a 500-point deficit rather quickly without allowing Alpha Team here to take too many kills. Although now they're in the rough position where Lulu is down and Risa's going to be post-turn. They want to pick up that confirm as quickly as possible here before they have a chance to counter by removing Cradle. Looks like everyone's going to stay alive. Everyone's thinking, my guess is there's a lot of communication going on right now about how this next team fight is going to get set up because it might end up deciding the match. Looks like everyone's moving in to fight in front of the boat. Cradle gets confirmed by Ramen, and Risa gets confirmed as well. So we're at a 2-kill deficit between the two teams, although Ramen looking
great
pretty
kick by Ramen
low.
to disrupt Farquaad.
Oh!
I don't think it's going to matter. Farquaad does end up getting away.
He does.
Ramen barely dodging the air shots.
Ear shots. Absolutely, but does not manage to avoid the Zimmerman pellets. So we're going to see another kill go in favor of the Dads. Dads have Sabbath at 1 AP. Risa's looking to pick up a confirm here, but she's the only one left alive. Might not be able to claw this one back. Looks like this one is also going to go in favor of the Dads.
I wonder if we're going to see an AC swap. Because we haven't seen AC swaps very much this entire tournament, and I feel like it's needed here.
It might be. I'm a little bit worried that there's just not enough meat on Expected Value's team, that the Mosquito and the Zinfasan are struggling a little bit just because of the chase down potential of Farquaad on Ear Rat. And remember, Sabbath also knows how to chase these people very well. They were her teammates for a very, very long time. She's familiar with a lot of their movement, might be able to capitalize on that. And the problem is if you can't really leverage that movement, all you really have left is to try to outlast. And that's kind of hard to do when you're rocking builds of very light AP. Looks like we are doing Dunes gaming for the next round.
The same ACs we're seeing that Mosquito builds back.
Yeah,
Mosquito builds the Zinfasan and the LRB shield.
We'll just have to see how the map difference works. Spaceport's tough for a lot of comps. And remember, despite how good these players are, these are both new teams. Still, and there are still things that need to be ironed out. And one comp may work really, really well. Oh, thank you, Iron Conqueror. Sweet. Thanks go to Striker for keeping these streams alive.
And thank you for commentating, Aseros. Again, I really was not feeling great
pleasure.
today, and I very much appreciate you being here and taking over.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I hope everyone can handle the word vomit approach for taking this first time.
That's
shop
the best way to commentate, homie. If you didn't do it, I would do it. That's all I'm saying.
It's great. And it's funny is that the constant flow of information is kind of mimicking what you hear in voice chat. I actually perfect. the most fun I've had. The most fun I've ever had.
That is a 2-for-2 trade, though.
Yes, it is. Almost perfect point diff.
Farquaad
we see a little brawl going on right here between Farquaad and Risa.
Both get turned at the same time? Is that a 3-for-3 swap?
This is big brain hours, but it looks like Farquaad manages to hide while Risa goes down.
Hangs on the life, goes for an earshot, does connect it on the Ramen, insane terminal value.
And down, absolutely. We're still seeing a very even game here, lots of play from terminal across the board. We see Heatwave getting a little staggered, juggled here, but going in really wants that term on Ramen and manages to pick it up at the cost of his own. And now we have Farquaad and Risa, the only people with AP. This is remarkably tight. This is one of those tit for tat games.
Cradle desperately trying to get one more hammer in, but does not find it.
No, and
is Ramen still alive? Is that getting... No,
Ramen is still alive. Now he's down, but he was pouring every missile in the fucking game onto Ramen, and he still wasn't able to reach. Sometimes
Ramen, that guy's got one of the best moves in the entire game.
Yeah, I was like, I start pouring missiles, and I'm like, oh fuck, that's Ramen. Why am I wasting my ammo? But, you know, sometimes when you're post-term, all you need is one. You pour 60 missiles on one target, you know, you better be a dodge god. Yeah, you better be a dodge god. Okay, so we're seeing pretty much a full reset here from both teams, although Risa's taken a chunk of AP loss already. Really interesting to see what the move is going to be.
Speaking of chunk of AP loss, Mosebeth has been termed.
Just completely out, 3v1. Excellent communication on the part of the dads. Farquaad going in, trying to drop those earshots, manages to pick up Risa as quickly as expected value picked up Sabbath, trying to keep this very, very tight. Alright, looks like we are still neck and neck. But now we see a couple of confirms here going in favor of expected value, but immediately answered. Ugh. Alright, we will point out though that at this juncture there are about 2 minutes left, and the dads do have a significant AP advantage here. Their goal is going to probably be at this point to try to take Ramen out the instant Risa spawns in if they're able to. Yes, they were. And now Lulu's probably going to become the prime target, and as soon as Lulu's down, they will jump onto Risa. This is an example of setting up one of those effective cycles. It could be just what the dads need to take this. We'll have to see. Cradle putting tons of pressure, manages to pick up Risa's term, trying to run away and avoid just becoming easy points for expected value. Looks like Risa managed... Nope. Oh, sorry, she's not. The indicators are so small.
Oh, shoot, I'm dropping frames. Why am I dropping frames?
Really? Oh, wait, yeah, the stream is dropping frames. That's weird.
Oh, shit.
Are you running other apps in the background?
No, I'm not. I'm at 9,000 kilobytes per second. Now I'm at 18,000? I'm at 34,000 kilobytes per second? What the hell is happening? What is going on? Okay, I guess we're back in the green now. What the hell?
That was weird.
Yeah, the earshot really exploded my stream, I guess, Faust. What the hell?
Okay, well, the good news is we've got a nail biter here. We've got 40 seconds left, and we had a 15-point difference. Looks like
oh my God, you're right, yeah.
Picking up terms on both sides. Looks like First Blood's going to go to expected value here, but it's going to get quickly answered if they can take care of both Risa and Ramen here. I'd say the dads have a path to victory here in picking up both of those confirms and then playing for life. Farquaad is low on AP, though, so it's going to be a question of whether or not Farquaad can get caught out, and he does. This is going to come down to another one-kill diff. They just need to pick up that one confirm. They need to confirm Farquaad, but nobody's looking at him.
10 seconds left.
Classic Farquaad ending with 5 seconds left.
Classic Farquaad ending.
And Lulu's taken out. That is going to be game. So, oh, they actually did manage to catch. No, wait, no, they still got it. Oh my god.
Yeah, there it is.
Holy shit.
Unfortunately,
that
scuff
is
for
it.
your. If you're, unfortunately, kind of scuffed for us here on Twitch, but God, that was.
That was a
Of
beautiful
course, that's how it
match.
ends. Of course, that's how it ends. About a 52-point difference. That's how we
Oh.
end Scuff Cup 3v3 tonight.
God damn. Massive, massive congratulations to one of the dads for their victory.
But which one?
Fantastic play from all teams.
Which one of the dads?
I'm out of here. All of the dads. Your dad. Everybody's dad. Everyone's
dad.
dad everywhere did a great job. All
My
the
dad doesn't
dads.
play on
We are all
before.
dads in our own way. Absolutely beautiful play.
And at the
from
end of the
both
day,
teams.
isn't that what really matters? Is that we're all dads?